Welcome everyone to the 34th episode of Conversations with T. This is T speaking, and I'm back with Aqsa, who happens to be one of my best friends. She's been featured in my podcast several times, and for those of you who don't know her, let me give you guys a quick introduction. Aqsa is from India, and she's a very talented writer. She used to be very active in the Wattpad community, where her works were appreciated by many. Fun facts about her include she loves cats, she's an INFJ like me, and she used to have this dream of becoming a pilot. And yeah, how have you been, sis? Thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me, first of all, and I'm extremely excited to be here with you once again. And Alhamdulillah, I'm doing wonderfully well. How about yourself?
I'm all right, alhamdulillah. So for today's
Alhamdulillah.
episode, I I wanted to have a discussion with you about several things that have become
Mm-hmm.
trends these days. I want to start off by talking about passport bros. For those of you who don't know what that is, let me give you the Urban Dictionary definition of it. So, passport bros are basically men who have chosen to seek out foreign women, typically from other countries, for marriage or relationships. They believe that Western women have been influenced by cultural and societal pressures to behave in a certain way, and that by seeking out foreign women, they can find a more authentic, fulfilling, and harmonious relationship. This is seen as a way to restore the natural balance between masculine and feminine energy and to avoid the wickedness of Western women. Now, many Western women reacted very negatively about this trend, and some of them even went further to make very disrespectful comments about non-Western women. These claims included they speak very little English, they're uneducated, they don't know how to stand up for themselves, and even them looking like transgender men in inverted commas. Yeah, I don't know about you, Aksa, but I felt very offended after hearing these comments. I actually want this episode to be a response to these girls, but before we go ahead with this discussion, I want to add in a little disclaimer. Now, we're not here to say that every Western woman shares these views, and that's something we both acknowledge and appreciate. Our message does not apply to them, but rather we have some things that we want to say to those girls who are being very disrespectful, basically. Now, yeah, Aksa, do you want to begin?
Uh, well, to begin with, I think I had no idea about the term passport bros. Is that it, right? That is it, I think. And
Yeah, yeah.
I remember you telling me first about this, and I was utterly shocked. I had no idea that there were Western men out there who I thought that their own women or women from their own countries were unfit to be spouses, and it was ridiculous because it did me. There was a point in time when I realized that these issues of feminism were going far beyond the limit of tolerance. And I used to wonder how the men there, as in their own men, their brothers, their husbands, their fathers, how were they tolerant of these issues, and how did they not think that these could be problematic for their families or for their societies? And subhanallah, then I came across this term that you told me about, passport bros, and I realized that okay, so maybe I wasn't so wrong after all. There are people who face these issues, and I understand the idea that you do not think that other women, women from other cultures, they might be this way, or they might be uneducated, they might be a bit more sophisticated, and they might be not like you. That is different. But to hate them for that, that is something unacceptable. Why would you go around hating women just if they are perhaps not as educated as you, or apparently not as I would say open as you are to the world? We have certain I would say, I would not say restrictions, but I feel like we have certain values that we would like to uphold. And these values are really important to us and our personalities. And so we like to make sure that we carry those with us wherever we go. And to be shamed for upholding our values, that is utterly I would no, it is utterly unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree. And we don't need to dress like them, behave like them, or even think like them to feel empowered. And in inverted commas. And to say that non-Western women are less educated, are inferior, and look like men in inverted commas, yeah, they're basically showing everyone how incredibly ignorant, racist, and disrespectful they are. Like they would be
Mhm.
surprised to know that there are so many women outside the West who are educated and can in fact speak English. I can actually speak for the both of us, you know. Even the both of
Yes,
us,
I think so. Yes, I agree.
yeah, we were born and raised
I
in
understand.
countries, in Saudi Arabia and Bangladesh, if they must know, and we did go to university. We both have degrees, and
Mhm.
we also have goals that we want to accomplish. But you specifically studied biotech in university, whereas I studied psychology and special education during my uni years. And we do know how to speak English very well, as that's what we're doing right now. And a lot of Bangladeshi and Indian women, they too can speak English. And even if for argument's sake we can't speak English that well, that wouldn't mean that we'd be less intelligent, you know. Um, a person may struggle to speak English, but could be very knowledgeable in other fields such as math and science. And, I actually find it funny that they think we're illiterate because we know how to speak their language, but they don't know how to speak ours, right?
SubhanAllah, that is actually really accurate. And to be honest, if I can add in something more to what you've just said, I believe I have come across a couple of videos, a couple of reels these past few days wherein they have showcased these Western women. They they can't really speak English. I'm very sorry to say this, but I feel as if they lack vocabulary. They don't know what they're trying to say. They're not able to form their thoughts into words, and they're not able to form words into sentences, which is ridiculous. I know no hate intended, but if you're born with a certain language and if you claim to be so intelligent and if you have grown up speaking English and you are working or studying or being present in a country where English is the primary language of communication, then it is very odd to think that you cannot speak English as fluently as you should be able to.
Really? Were they using a lot of vulgar language when they were
Yeah,
talking? Like what were
I
like
can I can say that, yes. Vulgar language plus a lot of slang, plus they were not able to communicate their feelings at all. It was like you just say something and they're like, yeah, you feel like that and you feel like this, and then yeah, that's it. I was wondering what they were trying to convey at first, but then I realized that okay, maybe that is just how it has now become, and that is how they just assume people will understand their feelings and everything will work out. But I believe that there should be that you should be able to communicate to a certain degree, if not entirely, to at least to some at least to some extent, so as to be able to make some sort of sense to the other person who's listening to you and who you're addressing.
Yeah, and these girls, they're all about how they say stuff like I don't need a man, men are trash, all men are the same, etc. Like if they want to show everyone that they're strong and independent in inverted commas, and why are they so angry and triggered? If they have such a problem with Western men wanting more traditional wives, then why can't they just find a liberal man instead and just leave us alone? I mean, they can't just
Um,
hate on other women who know how to treat men properly, right?
I agree. I do agree with that. I mean, if you do have an issue with men after all, then what is triggering you so much if they go and are more interested in other women from other cultures? If
Exactly.
that isn't that what you want? I mean, you do not want to marry, you do not want to entertain such sort of men, then let it be. Why would you want to waste your energy on hating on the other women they are trying to get to know about or trying to get married to? It does
Exactly.
not make sense again. It
Like
is. It sounds as if these women themselves are confused about what they really want. To be
same,
honest,
same, yeah. And
they do not know what they want. They need to sit and understand what they even want in their life. To be honest, because if you just go around hating people, I don't see what that is going to prove. But if you really want to do something, then maybe just try to sit and understand what your brain is going through and what you really want and what you dislike and what you like.
we're probably going to get a lot of hate for speaking about these topics. But then,
Well, I mean, hatred comes anyway, right? Says sometimes, especially more when you are speaking the truth. So if this is going to trigger uh, hate towards us, then subhanallah, I don't mind. That's okay.
you know, like I've seen videos of Asian women um
Mhm.
typically from the Philippines and Thailand standing up to these women, but there were other women who also stood up against the nonsense that those women are trying to push forward. Like I'm talking about women from South America and even Eastern Europe, which was like, whoa. So it's not just an Asian thing. Like they seem to have a problem with women who are not from Canada, the US, Australia, and the UK.
Mhm.
So it's not just so
Uh-huh.
it's not just
Okay.
Asian woman.
Basically, any woman who has values is what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah, yeah.
If these women are different from you, I am assuming they have values. They have certain principles that they want to abide by. And just because a woman is abiding by certain principles, or if she has certain values, does not mean that you can go around demeaning her. And if you are such strong of a feminist, why can't you just support other women? I mean, isn't that one of your, I would say, uh, uh, teachings of your agenda, right? That feminism means supporting other women and being in solidarity with other women. If that is really what you're supporting or trying to tell us, then why is it that there's so much hate against women who are different from you, who are not as apparently modernized, or who are not as educated as you all? Then it does not make sense again if you tell me about their ethics. I don't understand this. It actually, it does not even seem like it is something humane. As a human being, that is something that is very cruel. I cannot believe that such women have come to exist these days. It is very pitiful, this condition that we have in our dunya these days. It is destroying our society, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very messy. And you want to know something? After listening to several men talk about becoming passport bros and reading comments made by others, I found that a common reason why these men prefer foreign women is because they don't feel respected by these Western women. From what I've gathered, some of these Western women apparently have very unrealistic or overly high expectations of men, typically when it comes to how much they earn. And they have many demands and whatnot, but they themselves don't want to bring anything to the table. They just feel entitled to do whatever they want or be whoever they want just because they're female. And and yeah, I can see where the problem is right now. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts. Like, what do you think about this?
I feel like when the idea of feminism really came through, if I remember correctly, it was for the sake of women, and it was because they were being constantly tormented by men in all areas of society, in all ways possible. Everywhere they went, they were being misjudged and misinterpreted, and they were mistreated, and they were badly abused. That was that in some ages before our time. The idea of feminism really just emerged from there, so as to seek equal rights. That was it. That was feminism. It did not mean that we were going to hate men just like that. Everyone, every other man that we come across, we will hate him, and we will place unrealistic expectations. And we will expect from him to give us some sort of, I don't know, maybe they want the moon in their hands or something. But all in all, it's a very destructive mentality, the idea of feminism. See, I think that there are certain roles that we have to play as genders that God has assigned to us. The real reason of feminism was to protect our rights and to ensure that we would not be abused and that we would be given a certain amount of respect, which was, very uncommon in the Western world. And in the even in our cultures as well, it was very uncommon. It was very common to be disrespected as a woman. And so these ideas emerged from there only for that sake, to gain respect, to gain an equal place in society, and to make sure that our voices were heard. That was it. But these days, subhanallah, the idea has completely taken a shift, and it is as if now the idea of feminism is only to spread hatred against men and to be self-absorbed and to constantly sabotage the rights of others, especially men, and then to blame that these men and to blame these very men for the fact that they're not being respectful enough towards us, towards women. I think if this mentality is not fixed, and if our women are not taught the right meaning of feminism, it can distort our societies extremely badly, and it can affect our children. It can affect our offsprings, and the the ecosystem, it's built like that. So if you I would say, if men are not doing their job and if women are not doing their job, ecosystem is going to crash. Our ecosystem is going to go nowhere. It's all going to end. So it's best that we understand and humble ourselves to see where we are standing and to understand our roles in society. It's really important, I think. And we have to be, I think, when it comes to the idea of feminism, we have to be humble enough to understand, first of all, that there are certain roles that we cannot play. And there are certain roles that can only be done by men. But that does not make us any less feminine, or that does not make us any less respected
That,
or any less deserving respect than men out there.
yeah, I mean, now, now there are some women who are using feminism as like as an excuse to cheat on their husbands, which is ridiculous. Not only that, but to
I'm sorry.
I heard it with my own ears in a YouTube video. Like one woman actually admitted that she and her female friends they go to Las Vegas to cheat on their husbands. Like, what is that? Like
And that has
this is just
Subhanallah, this is beyond tolerance. This is actually these women need help. They really do need. I think they should get themselves. We need psychiatrists and we need psychologists. They need to get these women, pick them out, and help them understand what they're doing. If you cannot figure out that cheating on your husband is wrong, imagine what you're going to teach your children who will come tomorrow. Or what do you think is right and wrong then? If you tell me that cheating on your husband is right, then what is wrong? Not cheating on your husband is wrong, or what, how can you justify that action? So I
exactly. And they're also using feminism as an excuse to like objectify themselves. Like they've gone on a very extreme level with OnlyFans and like like those girls they're like I don't know what they do, but it's basically like online prostitution and they do all of that. Then they then start
okay,
saying how men don't take them seriously and they don't want to marry them. Like are they serious? Like it's like it's it's common sense. like, like what sane would want to marry a woman like that, right? And
please forgive me, but I cannot contain my laughter. I'm extremely sorry. I'm sorry. This makes my mind is I feel like I might lose whatever knowledge I have little bit. If I don't know if I do have anything in my mind, I feel like it's all going to dissipate into nothingness. Subhanallah, this is I how there was something I had read the other day that really changed my perspective, and it made me think differently, which was that if suppose, for example, a woman tells you that she is not obligated to cook for you as your as in for her husband, or she's not allowed to do, she has a right, and that she can choose to either work for her husband as in cook and clean and take care of him, and she also does have the choice of not doing any of those activities. But then, if you think about it, if a woman does not do anything of any of those activities, and she's just there as his, you can say, um, as a spouse without really doing any of these activities for him, isn't she self-objectifying herself? As in, she herself is willing to just please him in an intimate manner and then not do anything for him. If you see what I mean, the point here is that uh, why encourage this mentality, that we're the idea of feminism, that I don't want to cook for him, I don't want to clean for him. He's a grown man, he can do it all on him, all by his own. Yes, I do agree, he is a grown man, he can help you, of course. But to say that you're not obligated, which is true, yes, you're not obligated to do any of that. But then imagine that you're telling me that you don't want to cook and clean and do anything else for him except serve him intimately. What does that make you then?
Yeah,
Right?
I,
For some reason, it definitely changed my thinking. It made me realize that, subhanallah, certain things, Allah has made us as women. He has given us these rules and regulations. Subhanallah, we don't really realize why they happen, right? And why he's given certain rules which we might not be able to understand right in that moment. But subhanallah, once you come to understand them completely, as in, some days you come to realize them better than other days, and then you see what Allah is trying to do and why he did something like that, or what kind of a rule he placed and for what reason he placed it there in our lives. So it made me realize that you yourself are self objectifying yourself in certain areas by saying that you don't want to cook for him, clean for him, and the likes of it.
and yeah, like I don't understand what's the big deal with us cooking and cleaning for our husbands. I
This is
mean,
somebody you love. I know. This is your husband. What are you talking about? I mean, wouldn't you want to spoil your loved ones? Wouldn't you want to take care of them, make them happy, do everything in your power to make sure they're comfortable? Isn't that what all love is about? To make sure that your loved ones are at comfort, at ease, completely taken care of. I mean, at least to me, that is something that I would love to do. Spoil my husband. Why won't you? What problem does what? I don't see what kind of problem that should make, and why everything is so difficult for women to accept when it comes to cooking and cleaning. I understand, yes, it is not something that is solely my duty. There will be times when I would expect something like that to be done to me, and as a husband, I'm sure that it is something he would do as well. And at the same time, it is his responsibility to cater to my needs as well. So he will go ahead and he will pamper me and stuff. But all in all, what what is that difficult over there to say that you don't want to cook and you don't want to clean? I don't see how why that should be such a big deal. If you tell me that's your husband and you love him, why don't you want to cook or clean or help him with his other, I guess, household jobs?
yeah, I mean, our like, well, we're not married, but I mean, I'm just saying that these men, they're working so hard to not only like earn a living for both himself and his
Mhm.
and for their families, but they're also doing this to make sure that you're going to be okay. So he's doing all that
Allah.
so hard to take care of you, not just himself.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to cook for
Yeah,
him, and, like for us to cook for him and clean the house for him, that's basically us saying our way of saying thank you. I know that you're working so hard to make sure that we're okay, and this is my way of showing you that I appreciate you and
absolutely.
see
Yes,
how.
I do agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's really draining, this mentality. I wonder how they live with themselves, with this mentality and with these principles, and with constantly being at war with men. It is as if they have so much hatred that if they see a man walking down the street right by their side, they might just lunge at him, maybe throw things at him, maybe kill him even if, subhanallah, things go out of hand or something. I do not understand what is so difficult about accepting your role in the society, and to understand and to make yourself humble enough to know that your role is different to that of a man's. And just because Allah has given man a rank higher than women does not mean that we are not prioritized. Subhanallah, Allah has given women so many rights, and we know that. And these rights were given to us in a time when people did not even acknowledge girl child, or they did not acknowledge the presence of girl children, and they did not acknowledge women, and they were always degraded, mistreated, subhanallah. And to think that Allah has given these rights to us, and to think that such rights are, it's not like there's a competition. I wonder why they believe that there's a certain competition between men and women who wins first. This is not some race, this is life. This is not race. You can't say that you're going to run and you will come first, and that is how you will win, and that is feminism and all that. I It's really, this is very troubling, to be honest. It really is. If you think more about it, you will realize that this can destroy our societies and how we I don't. This is the present, by the way. It makes me anxious to even think about what it can be in the future if we do not treat this mentality right away, and if we do not correct our women right away. I don't know what our future holds. Subhanallah, I don't know if there will ever even be any future.
For those,
Allah have mercy.
sorry, for some people who might get the wrong idea, like a man, like, I mean, a man isn't better than a woman simply because he's a man. In Islam, it's very possible for a woman to be like 1,000 times better than a man, like if she's like very practicing and righteous. And yeah, it's not to say that men are automatically better than women just because they're men. No, like it's very possible for like many women to become to have a higher ranking and status than a man because of her righteousness, because of how
Absolutely.
her.
Yes, very valid point. Very valid point. As a matter of fact, Allah has mentioned that to him, uh, it's only about taqwa. It is only about piety.
Right.
A person, not even a man or a woman, I'm just going to say a person, their rank is dependent on their taqwa levels. If
Exactly.
it's a woman who has a higher taqwa level than a man, then yeah, she is above the man. See,
Exactly.
so it is not about your role. It's not about your gender here. You have to understand that your gender, yes, it has certain limitations, but that does not mean that as a person, as a human being, you are limited. Subhanallah, Allah has told you that you don't have to be so worried about the fact that you are a woman and he's a man. No, absolutely not. You are a Muslim, and if as a Muslim, your levels of taqwa, your levels of piety, your levels of God consciousness are more than that of a man, then yes, your level before Allah is higher. Your rank before Allah is higher than that man. So isn't that comforting enough to know for you? Why should you I disrespect yourself by following such weird ideas and such weird, I don't know, thought patterns, I suppose, but this is this is another level of shaitan attacking our minds and causing us all to go away from Allah and to take on the wrong path.
Mm.
Ah, it's very, very disturbing, subhanallah.
Thank you. Thank you, Aqsa, for this level for having this wonderful discussion with me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope the rest of your evening goes well. Thank you and take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope that your evening has, you have a great evening as well. And wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.